we've been planning this event with Tony for months and months. In fact, he's one of the very first authors that I spoke with about coming here. So the fact that he's now the last author to make an appearance here is kind of strange. But I actually started off kind of hating Tony DiTerlizzi, because when Diary of a Wimpy Kid made its way onto the bestseller list, I was battling it out with a series, the second Spiderwick Chronicle series. And he would get in front of me and threaten to bump me off the list, and I was like, Tony DiTerlizzi, I don't like this guy. So I will say things have improved since then. Tony is one of the genuine great guys, and to boot, he's got great, fantastic talent. Also, he illustrated a lot of Dungeons and Dragons modules, and Monster Manual too, I'm not sure. Yes, he did. So he, when I was a kid, actually, before Tony came along, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons, so we've got that in common too. So I'm very excited to bring Kim back. Kim, did you know you're coming back for Tony's official introduction, where we get the real vibe? Now, Kim recently hurt her foot, and so it's really funny seeing her hop along here all the way to the stage. Okay, here's Kim.
Thank you, Jeff. So we are, as Jeff said, we are just so thrilled to have Tony here at long last. He's the New York Times best-selling author and illustrator. He's been creating children's books for nearly 2 decades. From fanciful picture books like The Spider and the Fly, which is my personal favorite, and a Caldecott Honor book, to chapter books like Kenny and the Dragon and the One-Blood trilogy. Tony imbues his stories with a rich imagination. With Holly Black, he created the middle grade series, The Spiderwick Chronicles, of which I think we have a lot of fans here this evening, and it sold millions of copies, has been adapted into a feature film, and has been translated in over 30 countries. He teamed up with Lucasfilm to retell the original Star Wars trilogy as a picture book, and his collaboration with acclaimed author Mo Willems, creating the bestseller, The Story of Diva and Flea. The beginning of his storied career is showcased in Realms, the role-playing game art of Tony DiTerlizzi. So there was some very exciting news announced in February of this year, and that the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge will feature a retrospective of Tony's work called Never Abandon Imagination, the Fantastical Art of Tony DiTerlizzi, from his beginnings in role-playing games to the upcoming picture book, The Broken Ornament. The exhibit will run from November 11th through May 28th, 2018. And if you don't already, I would highly recommend you following Tony on Facebook. And he has been chronicling going through the process of choosing which work it will be featured in the exhibition. And he's also been live streaming some drawing demonstrations that they're filming. It is absolutely incredible. Along with his work in children's books, an entire gallery will be dedicated to his gaming illustration. Tony DiTerlizzi has influenced fans and fellow creators alike. I'd like to share with you one of my favorite quotes about Tony from filmmaker Guillermo del Toro, who says, "Tony's work has a distinct flair, a love for monsters, if you will. His creatures have the charm of Jim Henson or Arthur Rackham, but they carry with them hints of their own ecosystem. He stands alone as a creator of worlds and a weaver of tales." And with that, please give a warm welcome to Tony DiTerlizzi.
Thank you, Plainville. I drove in from Amherst, and it's kind of rainy out, so the roads are wet. So I really can't believe you guys turned out in such full force. How many were going to come when it was going to snow? There was the snow crowd, right? So we got the snow crowd, and now the rain. I think there's some kind of natural catastrophe. Every time we book this, so we're like, rain we can live with. So I'm super excited to be here. Thank you guys so much, Jeff. Thank you very much. It was you and Kim, lovely introduction. A couple things are occurring to me right simultaneously. One, you always feel a little bit like a stand-up comedian when you're up here kind of doing this. Where you're like, so I went to Starbucks today. I'm sorry. That's all I got. But yeah, I'm very fortunate that I've been able to travel all over this country and all over other parts of the world visiting bookstores. And you see all kinds of bookstores. You see little holes in the walls. You see these gigantic, big chain stores. And Jeff, what you've done here is a really special thing for this town. I don't think you guys realize how beautiful this store is. I've got my computer here. Hopefully this thing will work. Yes, there's my bald head and my shiny thing. So I'm super excited to be here. I'm super excited for a couple of reasons. This year actually marks 25 years that I have been a professional illustrator. As I know, man, if I could just have some of that hair back, just a little bit of it. Just like Charlie Brown, just slowly rolling back. I got my start in Dungeons and Dragons, and I worked for Magic the Gathering. I've written children's books. I've teamed up with some of my friends to make some amazing children's books. And I feel very lucky and very fortunate that I get to do this as my job. And I'm especially honored that the Norman Rockwell Museum this fall out in Stockbridge is going to celebrate 25 years of illustrating by hanging up all this stuff that's been sitting in flat files and cabinets and closets. So hopefully you guys will get to come out and check that out. But there's a thing with when you go to a museum or you go to a bookstore and you see these beautiful paintings on walls, or you look at this book and it says 9 billion copies sold, and when I was this tall, I could never imagine myself being the old dude up here talking about it, because I felt like that was a special type of person, a lucky person that got to do those things, that got to paint paintings that hang in museums or write stories that readers love. And so I kind of put a special thing together for you guys tonight that kind of shows how I went from where I started to being this kind of old gray dude standing here. So we kind of have to start at the beginning, which for me, it really all started with a book report. You guys know what book reports are? Does anyone know what an oral book report is? Oral book report. Sounds a lot like oral surgery. Actually, it feels a lot like oral surgery. When I was a kid, we had to do oral book reports. Can someone please tell me what an oral book report is? Anyone? Anyone? Yes? Yes, you go to the front of the classroom, because if the book wasn't bad enough that you have to read, go up in front of the class and tell everybody about this book that you really didn't want to read. You're kind of standing there with, like these guys, with strangers staring at you and your mouth open. And they're like, this may pinch a little bit, but it'll just be your grade. Now, before I get to my book report, I want you guys to see what I was working with back in 5th grade. Oh yeah, that's a pitying awe. I had a gigantic head. No, seriously, if you look at the size of my head to my shoulders, it was gigantic. It's the same size. Wait, this is what I look like also in high school and most of college. It was like in my 20s when my body finally caught up with my giant balloon head. Anyway, even though I wasn't great at book reports, which we'll get to, I did like to do something else, which was draw. I love to draw. Anybody here like to draw? Any drawers? Nice. Wow, that's so refreshing. This is from 2nd grade. I copied a lot. That's how I learned. I would copy other people I liked. And you can really tell that I was all about Tyrannosaurus Rex. I mean, Triceratops is really kind of an afterthought. I mean, T-Rex is like, whoa, 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 this is my picture, Triceratops. Get out, get your own picture. I mean, it's even like Tyrannosaurus Rex and Triceratops. And, sorry, it's obligatory. I'm supposed to be in the scene with you. So I love T-Rex. I love nature and creepy things, so I loved bugs. I love drawing bugs. I did a little field guide to bugs. I'm a little concerned that I knew the anatomy of termites this well. I grew up in Florida, So it probably explained why the house got tented later. And I also love to draw from this movie that was really big in the 70s. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It was a pretty cool movie. It had some cool effects. Does anyone know? Does anyone recognize what that thing is? That's right.
It's an X-Wing fighter. And if we look, we can see a Y-Wing fighter back there. Now, this one, the wings are closed. That's for long distance traveling. But here it's in attack mode with the wings expanded. Never mind.
I love drawing all that stuff. Anybody like drawing Star Wars and stuff like that? Dinosaurs?
The whole saga.
Yes. Well, in 5th grade, a lot of kids drew. In fact, when I go to an elementary school today, and I ask the kids, who here likes to draw? Who here likes to write? All the hands. I love to write, I love to draw. You go to a middle school, you ask the same question. About half the hands go up. You get to high school, and it's like 3 weird art dudes and 1 art chick. They kind of... I don't know why that is. I was never discouraged from doing art, but I was never really encouraged in school so much. But I got lucky in 5th grade. This is me, by the way, if you couldn't find me. Here's my giant head and those giant glasses. And this is my 5th grade teacher. His name was Ray Strasburger. So, of course, we called him Hamburger, Hamburglar, all those good names. He loved that. You can tell by the look on his face how much he really loved that. So back to the book reports. We had a whole list of books that we could choose from to read. And my book report was on a book that I heard was pretty cool. Anyone know this book? Yeah, Mouse and Motorcycle. This was how my oral book report went for the mouse and the motorcycle. DiTerlizzi, you're next. Hello. My name is Tony DiTerlizzi. Duh. And my book is on The Mouse and the Motorcycle. It's written by Beverly Clary. It's a book about a mouse and a motorcycle, a red motorcycle. And that is my book report. And I'd be like, I'd go to slink off, DiTerlizzi. What was the name of the mouse? Fonzie? DiTerlizzi? Where did the story take place? Nebraska? I was horrible. I was lousy. The reason I did so lousy on these book reports, it wasn't the books. We had great books on our list. Books like these by Beverly Cleary, Norton Juster's Phantom Tollbooth, J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. There were amazing books on our list. But something happened for me that made it hard to see. See, I think visually. I love pictures. In fact, my favorite books up to this point were Frog and Toad Are Friends. Has anyone ever read Frog and Toad? I love Frog and Toad Are Friends. Here's why I love Frog and Toad Are Friends. There's a picture on every single page. So even if you're having trouble with a word, there's a picture of Frog, who's always happy, and Toad, who's always depressed, right? So Frog's like, "Hey, Toad, what are you doing?" said Toad. "You seem down," said Frog. "I have lost a button." And it looks like I've got to pay a tax return this year. I love Frog and Toad Are Friends. There's always pictures to help me. Now, to be fair, The Mouse and the Motorcycle does have illustrations in it. It was done at the time by a man named Louis Darling. But there wasn't illustrations on every page. So I would hit these islands where there'd be like one little illustration, right? Okay, that's cool. And then, I gotta find one, this, the desert for me, right? So I was really struggling with these pages. So my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Strasburger, says, I tell you what, Tony, I know you like to draw. Frankly, that's all you ever do in my class when I'm trying to teach. So I'll make a deal with you. I want you to do a drawing from the mouse and the motorcycle. You cannot copy one of the existing drawings. You have to come up with your own original drawing. Think you can do that? Maybe. All right, if you do that, I'll give you extra credit, and we'll try your book report again. So I went back. This time when I read The Mouse and the Motorcycle, I wasn't reading a story. I was reading instructions, directions. What would I draw? Would I draw the moment Keith meets Ralph the Mouse in the old hotel? Would I maybe draw the moment where he shows him how to make the motorcycle go by simply grabbing the handlebars and going boom, boom? What about when Ralph gets sucked up by the vacuum cleaner? What about when the motorcycle's lost? What about when he's driving the ambulance and Keith has the fever and he's got to find the aspirin for him? I finished the book. It tapped a different part of my brain. Mr. Strasburger taught for many years at a public school in a small town in Florida. He saw something that I was struggling with and knew how to correct it. It changed my life. I didn't know it changed my life. You never know when your life is changing, not when you're going through with it. But when I'm standing in front of you now, and I look back over my shoulder, and it zigs and zags this path I've taken to bring you here tonight, there's these little stars in my path, these little beacons where my life changed. And all the way back in 5th grade, Mr. Strasburger changed my life. Boredom. Let's move ahead a couple of years. Jeff, this is for you. This is me in middle school. See the head? There it is. There it is. I almost had the Han Solo. I'm parting it in the middle. I'm trying. I think the glasses are even bigger. I don't even know how that's possible. Now, I thought this was cool. I went to a middle school that had more kids in it. There was at least one other Italian person in our school by the name of Carla DiGeronimo. Carla was in all my classes because our names spell together. Carla had long eyelashes, blue eyeshadow, and the most amazing feathered hair I have ever seen. That looks like a 20-year-old. I'm sorry. Sophia, never. My daughter, no, just don't. You would think that Carla and I would be friends, maybe more than friends, whatever that meant, but that was definitely not going to happen. And the reason it wasn't going to happen was because my statistics were pretty lousy. In fact, my only special skills besides drawing were cracking jokes and making mouth farts. Now, for some of you, you may not know what this green sheet of paper is, so I'm here to educate you. Oh, it's got audio. Hold on. That is, it brings a tear to my eye, not gonna lie to you guys. brings a tear to my eye. Dungeons and Dragons in the early 1980s, the entire world was playing Dungeons and Dragons. It was amazing for one glorious year, and then everyone decided Rubik's Cubes are the most amazing thing. And only us nerds were left playing Dungeons and Dragons. I loved Dungeons and Dragons. Anybody here play Dungeons and Dragons? Any fans? That's good, that's good. I see a few hands. I was obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons. I would copy the monsters out of the books and the monster manuals. I was also a Boy Scout at the time, and so I had collected these little pocket field guides, which meant that I collected seashells, had a large and extensive insect collection, and I also went bird watching. I have no idea why Carlo DiGeronimo was not interested in that at all. As a matter of fact, I would often copy some of these birds. This is a copy from John James Audubon, and this one came out, so I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, that's just copied from a photo. Now, I grew up in Florida. Have you guys ever been to Florida? Anybody ever been? Florida's really hot, right? It's filled with old people and lizards. That's it. In fact, I'm convinced the old people moved to Florida and then turned into the lizards. Then, no more snow. Oh, this and that thing that kind of hangs down gets longer. And then, you know, this feels so much better. And then the tail comes out and the thing goes. And then there goes Grandma. I know, she's gone. There she is she's on a rock. I think she's eating a grasshopper. So I love sometimes being in Florida, except for the summer. Now on summer break, you know, I'm the oldest of three. My mom would stay home, so you can imagine how harmonious and peaceful it was with three kids running around in a small house in the Florida heat. We had an air conditioner. It was about this big, and it was kind of mounted to the wall, and it kind of so it was, you know, 1 or 2 degrees cooler. Now, my mom was always like, it's 9 o'clock, shut off the TV, go outside and play. And I'd just be like, I don't want to go. It's so hot. And my mom would be like, it's not that hot. And I'm like, it is so hot out there. So she was like, fine. If you're going to stay in the house, go in your room and do something. I don't care what it is. Creative, I don't care. So I went in my room at the beginning of a summer break in 1982, and I had a few things. I had my Dungeons and Dragons monster manual. I had my field guides, and I had a lot of leftover notebook paper. So I started to draw. Did my own versions of monsters. Where are these monsters? Come on, you guys. There they are. Each day, I would do a drawing of a different creature. Some were dragons, some were little weird monsters. And then, using my field guides, I would start to write scientific observations of each of the creatures. Now, because I watched Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, I therefore also knew Latin. It's really easy. So for instance, this dragon is called, the Latin name is the biggest, baddest mama-is. See, now you know Latin. It's really, just pick someone and describe them and add is to the end. Baldus bespectacles, aka Tony DiTerlizzi. So I did these observations, and then I drew a map, and each day I would add a little more. By the end of the summer, I had filled an entire notebook filled with these drawings of monsters and scientific observations inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, inspired by Brian Froud and Alan Lee's book Fairies, and of course inspired by nature and field guides. And this kind of sat in my mind for decades. Does anyone have any idea what this ended up becoming? Yeah, you. Dragon. There is a dragon involved. It actually becomes this. Now I'm going to show. Has anyone read Spiderwick? Any Spiderwick fans here? A couple of them, nice. Anyone seen the film? There's a film they made. I'm going to show you the film. Now, of course, the audio is not going to work. Let's see if I can make it. Could you hear it when I put the microphone down, or not, Jeff? Jeff, you can hook it up. Okay, Jeff's. It just needs a. You can kind of. Oh, yeah. Hold on, that might do it. I'm going to swing it around. It won't quite. We'll make it reach. No, it doesn't want to. Hang tight. It's worth the wait. No. All right, I'll just put the mic down. Right. So I'm going to show you guys the trailer for Spiderwick, but I want you to notice the one thing every single character in this trailer is coveting. Coveting here meaning wanting very badly. I hit the button with the microphone. All right. The whole thing is with the trailer. You want to see it again? All right. Hold on. Watch the movie. You don't need to know. The entire movie, they are coveting a field guide. The whole movie. That's what Jared finds. That's what Mulgarath wants. The whole field guide is the center of this entire film. And when I was doing the press for this movie, and they were making, I think you probably saw really quick, the, go back here, there was the video games and the Happy Meals and all the things that came out in the wake of Spiderwick. I'd be on the red carpet and every interviewer was like, what does it feel like to have your book made into a film? You know, wow, this is like a dream come true. What does this feel like, Tony? And all I could think about was this book that I made in the summer of 1982 when I was completely bored. I wasn't watching TV, I wasn't playing outside, it was too hot. People were being burned alive by the sun anyway. But when I was left alone with the things that I loved, like Dungeons and Dragons and those field guides, I came up with a thing that ended up becoming a bigger thing. And that fascinates me. That's kind of interesting. So I've started thinking about that a lot now. My next story. With each book that I make, I really try to push myself, both narratively and artistically. I try to create something really special in the pages of a book. I want to take you to a different place in the story that's different than perhaps the real world. They're not necessarily characters with extraordinary powers. They may just be normal characters in extraordinary circumstances, right? And I take pride in that. I've been asked to work on video games, I've been asked to work on movies, but I always come back to my books. These are the things that mean the most to me. And the reason is this. This was one of my favorite video games when I was a kid. Does anyone know what video game this is? Anyone? Yeah, you got your hand up. What is it? It is Adventure for the Atari 2600. Let me tell you, when this game came out, I was blown away that I was able to play this on my TV set. I'm like, wait. That square I can move? It moves around? If I touch the key, I get the key? And I can go in the castle? It's never gonna get better than this. Here's a screen grab from Dragon Age Inquisition. This game is actually a couple years old. The gameplay on this is insane. This was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Anyone know what movie this is from? Yes.
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland by Walt Disney Studios. I love this version of Alice in Wonderland and the Cheshire Cat. And then, of course, some years ago, We got the new and improved, I guess, Cheshire Cat. Every single whisker, every single hair is rendered in this animal, this fantasy animal. And that happened in the span when I went from being this tall to being this tall. So I cannot even imagine what's going to happen to all the kids who are this tall now, what they're going to see, because this is as tall as I'm getting. I will then be returning back to this height, but the same sized head. And yet, when I think about all the changes in the ways that we consume stories, right? Because really sales and numbers tell us that most people consume a story in TV or film, and video games are a close second. Books are there, but books are all over the place. Some books sell a lot, and some books don't sell as well. But what fascinates me about certain books, like Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, is that this book is over 150 years old, right? And yet, we still love this story. Who here loves Alice's Adventures in Wonderland? I love Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So it has me thinking. Books, there's something special about books that maybe movies and video games haven't figured out how to crack yet. And this is what I think it is. Books require you to engage with them. You have to use your imagination. Because when you think about it, at the end of the day, all a book really is a bunch of glyphs, symbols, printed on wood pulp. Paintings or drawings may accompany them, but they're just dots printed in 4 colors on wood pulp. And yet, when we read them, we see pictures in our mind. We may know the author, we may not. The author may be long gone, buried underground for centuries, or standing right in front of you. That is a magic thing that only happens in books. I am proud to be a person who's learned how to make that magic, how to harness my imagination, basically drawing all the same things I did when I was a kid, and doing it now. In fact, when I go to make my books, when I start a new story, the first question I ask myself is, what would 10-year-old Tony read? What would he want to do a book report on? What does 10-year-old Tony want that old Tony can make? Think about that. What is something you wish existed in the world that doesn't exist? Who's to say you're not the person to make that change and make it happen? You never can now tell. You don't know what really is going to happen. I loved drawing fantasy things and dinosaurs and spaceships, and I just kept doing it over and over and over again, and eventually I got pretty good at it. I'd like to think this kid would have been impressed. I hope you guys enjoy my stories as well. Thank you.
Mildly inspiring, like a B+.
Okay.
B+.
This may pinch a little, but yes, you may feel slight pressure.
Let's take a seat. I'm going to put you through some paces. How about that?
All right, which seat am I seating in? This one?
How about the far away one? That was amazing. I don't think I've ever seen such an inspiring author. You know, take the stage like that. That was just amazing. So
Aw,
let's give it
thank
up
you.
again for Tony.
Narrative, story-wise?
Yes.
Well, it's changed. I think the first part of my career, I had a checklist of stories that I thought would be cool. But as I become older and had some books published, and I'm now a dad, I'm really trying to observe what's happening and let some of that inform how I tell a story now and give it ideas. So, for instance, I had been working, and I'm definitely one of those, I'm like the hair ripping, like, it's not good enough, I'm not good. I'm definitely that type of person. And you know, if you notice when the art was fanning behind me, I was looking at you guys because all I see is the warts and the scratches and everything with all the art. But for a year, I was struggling with this mermaid book. I really wanted to do a story about the ocean and mermaids. And I couldn't crack it, Jeff. I couldn't figure out, I had the take, like I had the gist, but I didn't have the story. And I was really frustrated. And 2 years ago, we were setting up our Christmas tree. And my wife, Angela, had bought some new Christmas balls at Target or whatever. And our daughter was lacing the hooks through. And one of them fell on the ground. And she kind of did the, and I was immediately taken back to being a kid and doing, it was gone. That memory was gone. And I remembered it as soon as it happened. And I remember like my dad like, hey, pay attention, you know, those things cost money, what are you doing? You know, like that whole thing, and then you feel really bad, and in a moment like decorating a tree, which is something you look forward to, is kind of ruined. So this all flashed like this in my head, and I said, oh, it's okay, Soph, if you break an ornament by accident, a Christmas fairy is born. You know, by accident. And I was thinking of like Jamberry with Peter Pan, and like every time a baby laughs, a fairy is born. So I thought this was another way to do it. And Angela, my wife, goes, that's your next book. And I'm like, no, I just didn't want to be a jerk. Nope, that's your book. And I'm like, no, this went on for 2 days. And then on Monday, after I dropped her off from school, I'm like, but if it was a book? So that's rare for me though, Jeff. I mean, but I'm trying to do that, like let a little bit of life in. And I mean, as artists, you observe. I mean, when you're drawing Greg Heffley or whatever, the slout, you're observing people. It's informed by some outside stimuli. So now I'm trying to let that also inform.
So so we actually have a special guest for you here today. You might be surprised by this, a little taken aback. It might change your life again, like those little, lights. So would Miss DiGeronimo please stand up? If she came to you, would you know what her... Actually,
I'm here.
where's Angie?
You're looking good, TJ. Yep.
I actually have a funny story to relate. Is that I was texting back and forth with Tony a few weeks ago, and then he said, in my text, he said, congratulations, I had gotten a Guinness Book of World Record, right, for some minor thing, but they put me in the book, right? And he said, congratulations, that's amazing, you know. And then I said, well, thank you very much. And I was actually awarded the award on the steps where the Spice Girls did the music video Wannabe.
Yes.
Right?
You guys know the song, right?
So I said that,
Yeah.
and Tony wrote back and said, Spice Girls, OMG, I love the Spice Girls. I was like, okay, that was unexpected, right? And then he said, I still have all of the action figures mint in the box. Right? And I was like, wow, that was really unexpected. And then I kept getting persistent texts. I got a picture of the music player, and it said, the Spice Girls was playing.
Tell me what you want. Yeah,
And it said, right, feeling inspired, and I was like, are these texts ever going to stop? And then I got one more and said, if I ever won a Guinness Book of World Records, I would hope that it would be for world's longest fingernails, right? And I started to think really differently about Tony, right? And that went on for about 3 or 4 months where I had a fixed mental image of Tony. Then I got another text. Then I got another text that said, something about this event, and I said, oh yeah, Tony, we'll start at a certain time. And then I got another text that said, this is Angie, Tony's wife. So it wasn't Tony all along, it was his wife.
Yes.
So that happened. But I still think of him as liking the Spice Girls and wanting really long fingernails.
Yes.
And something else that your wife really called you out on. We were in New York City one night, hanging out, having dinner. It was We're having a good time. And then we said, hey, let's do, Tony, you want to go do karaoke with me and my group?
Yeah.
And Tony was like, I don't really do karaoke, right?
It's like a dog being like with a thorn in its paw. It's like.
And then Angie said, oh, Tony and I just had karaoke night in the attic, right? So she totally,
It's a roast? What is this? Like a.
Yes. Okay, let's get on to actual.
When there is a karaoke thing, I may play a tambourine, I can play a cowbell in tune, but there's not a lot of singing going on. No.
Well, these lights light up. They're all colored. They blink. We have a mirror ball over there. As soon
Of course you do.
Over,
Yes, this is it. It'll be a throwdown. Great.
How about it?
I'm sure they can't wait for me to sing. Tell me what you want.
We'll put Angie up here. So I would like to use your real talents here and put them on display. So how about if you do a little bit of drawing for us? Live drawing.
Yeah?
That'd be good? This is totally unrehearsed, so this could bomb.
I have no idea.
All right, so Tony, you like monsters.
I do indeed.
Imagine you have a writing assignment for this monster, and you're given this description. This is a real description from an old book, okay?
Okay.
And so, in fact, let's focus on the head. He has a big head and a small body, right? Does that sound familiar at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a text you're given. And what I want you to do is I want you to draw what you hear, and then I want you to tell me what monster you think it is. How about that?
Okay, big head,
All right.
small body, got it.
So here is the description in the original.
Okay.
His yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was of a lustrous black. You're not drawing anything at all.
I'm just listening.
And flowing. His teeth of a pearly whiteness, but these luxuriances only formed a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes that seemed almost of the same. But these luxuriances only formed a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes
Okay.
that seemed almost of the same color as the dun white sockets in which they were set.
All right. Oh, you brought yellow. Of course you
We have a yellow marker.
did. Of course.
Did I say yellow? It's actually aqua blue.
It's more a puce, I think. Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so wait, pearly whites.
You're getting somewhere.
Okay, so pearly whites. Okay, so.
I will say something that's funny is that I deleted the first line that says his limbs were in proper proportion to his head, which would have been, I would have kept in had I not, had I heard your speech in advance. But he's got a proportional body, so I'm just saying.
Okay.
That joke's going nowhere, sorry.
Okay. And so pearly white. So he's got nice teeth.
Yeah, it says that, I think
That's
so.
a good dentist.
Yeah,
Okay.
his teeth of a pearly whiteness, yeah.
Okay. He brushes. He possibly even flosses.
Yeah.
But he has black lipstick.
Black lips.
Black lips. Okay.
Black, and I think straight black lips. Can you hit undo? It did say, I read it twice.
Straight black lips.
Straight black lips, right.
Okay.
It's interesting. It's a he, by the way. Did I mention that?
I know, but
I think it's a he.
It's a he now.
His, yeah, I did start by saying his.
All right. Nothing about the nose.
Nothing about the nose.
Nose.
Lots about the eyes.
Okay. The eyes. Sunken eyes. Does it say anything about the eyebrows?
Nothing about the eyebrows.
Okay. So.
Shriveled complexion.
Shriveled. And then the eyes are white and sunken.
Yeah, okay. Sockets into which they were set. I think you're getting close.
Oh God, you're gonna be like, it's Charlie Brown. I'm waiting for it.
It's watery eyes, does that matter?
The water.
Yeah,
Okay, there.
Not crying eyes.
Oh.
You've drawn Alice Cooper.
It's like Mark Bolan or so. Yes. Okay. And the eyes are white.
Yeah.
All right. They're just these kind of light.
I
Okay.
didn't
So
read that as his pupils were white, but that's your interpretation. Okay, so
that's me watching way too much TV.
All right, so now step away so people can see.
All right.
All right, and can you guess which famous monster this is? If you can't, let's go to the crowd.
Oh, you want me to
I
guess?
want you to guess the thing that you just drew. If you were the illustrator of this original book, that's how the illustration would have come out.
And is it a famous monster?
Famous monster.
Should I be putting bolts on its neck?
Yes.
Oh!
It is Frankenstein.
That's the
Or
only
Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein's
Right.
monster. Yes.
Did anybody guess that from the description? A lot of people, a lot of
Wow.
people. Right. Okay.
All right. I'm adding a few, you know.
You're cheating now, right? That's very good.
Yes.
All right.
It's actually Alice Cooper's Alice Cooper as Franken. That's his new album, by the way. Yeah, it's Alice Cooper.
Right.
Yeah, there it is.
Now, why don't you rip that one off? And can we have recycling here, right? We recycle?
Yeah, just throw that out. But let me.
I'm kidding,
When
I'm
you throw it
kidding.
away, you know, it's worth less. Oh, am I ringing?
No, that's me.
Oh, okay. You want to take it?
No.
All right.
Okay, very good. We should have given him a round of applause for Frankenstein. Okay, you ready?
Frankenstein ready. Draw.
How about this one? Are you ready? Now you have to use your imagination.
Ready.
If you had gotten this writing assignment, this is what you would have read. This illustration assignment. All right.
Oh, you broke out the glasses for this. I guess.
I know, reading
Ready.
glasses. I'm getting older too. There was there was the loud sound of a throat being cleared, and the three turned toward the desk. Standing on it, in worn overalls and a wide-brimmed hat, was a little man about the size of a pencil. His eyes were as black as beetles.
Ooh, that sounds creepy.
His nose was large and red, and he looked very like the illustration from the guy. He was holding a pair of leashes
Ooh.
that attached to gray mice that were sniffing the edge of his desk.
I think I know.
You're drawing pretty fast on this one.
I'm trying.
You don't seem to have as many questions about this one.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I've got an idea. I've got a notion. Done.
Very good, very good. Now, can any kids name who this character is? How about in the corner? Thimbletack, very good. That is one of Tony's own creations. Thimbletack from the Spiderwick Chronicles. Very good. Very good.
Upside down.
I was going to have you draw blindfolded, but now that you've done this gimmick upside down, I don't need to do that. How about a slight middle schooler?
Close, but it's been a
good.
good.
Yeah,
I
that's
gotta look at it. Which really, honestly, if you just add giant glasses and some bad hair, couple feathers back there. So really, I can't relate to your stories at all, Jeff. I have no idea who these are for. And then, of course, a body to scale. There he is. I'm the teacher of Mo. One day.
That's very good. Let's give a round of applause.
No, whatever you want. It's your show.
Let's have some questions for Tony. So I'm going to walk around with the microphone. How about that? We'll take a few questions. We know it's a school night. You'll get to meet Tony in a few minutes. Here we go.
Why isn't Holly Black here? Holly Black here.
Oh, wow. What, Jeff?
Why isn't Holly Black here?
I actually think Holly's she's in like Ireland right now, isn't she? Yeah, she travels a bit. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah. Do you want a refund?
Holly didn't lose the bet. I lost the bet, and so.
Questions back here? Here we go. A little bit shy. This is the daughter of Miss DiGeronimo. So.
Oh.
Why didn't you stay with me?
Are you ever gonna make a mermaid book?
Am I gonna make them? I will. I will get there. I promise. It just takes a while. You'll be in college and you'll go, oh look, you finally made the mermaid. Good for him.
If you had to pick one of your favorite books besides your own, what would it be?
Oh, a favorite book besides my own, and present company excluded as well. Sure, right? I grew up on a lot of classics. So, my mom read House of Pooh Corner to me when I was young, and I loved, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Peter Pan and Wendy. Recently, my daughter Sophia and I, we've been reading all the Harry Potter books, which I enjoy much more as a parent reading them to her. And I'm trying to think of what else I've been really. I loved When a Monster Calls. Monster Calls. That was an amazing book. Anyone read that one? It's a pretty great story. Yeah, some there. And another question.
What was your inspiration for Diva and Flea?
Oh, what was my inspiration for Diva and Flea? Well, I was working on that mermaid book, actually. I was working on that mermaid book, and the phone rang, and I answered it, and on the other end of the phone was, Tony, it's Mo Willows. How you doing? It's not really how he sounds, but, just so you know, it's not me talking to myself up here. And Mo he was like, working on a new story, Cat and Dog, The Friends. It's a great story. Been trying to draw the book. Well, to be honest, I'm trying to draw it to look like you. Oh, okay. I'm flattered. Well, my wife said, you know who can draw just like Tony DiTerlizzi? Who? Maybe a guy on Instagram? I don't know. Oh, you idiot. So, how about we work on a book together? And so we did. We made a book. And I really enjoyed it, actually. Mo lives a couple towns over from me, and I live in Amherst, he lives in Northampton. And I really enjoyed the experience, actually. That was what I really got out of that. I really enjoyed, Mo makes books very different than I do, but I liked mixing our ethers, as it was, to create something new and different. All right, Jeff.
If you was a young starting author, what advice would you give him or her to try and start her journey, or his journey?
I think that's a great question. I get that a lot. Do you write? Are you writing? Are you writing? Are you letting other people read your writing?
I published my own book.
Oh, that's awesome. You're already 10 steps ahead of that version of me. I think the thing is you need to read a lot. I think that kind of goes without saying. And I think the hardest part of writing is letting other people read it and tell you what they think honestly. What they like about the story, what they don't like about the story. That's kind of how you learn, especially if you show the book to 3 people, and 3 different people give you the same part, like, I was confused in chapter 3, or I wish the bad guy did this, or whatever. So I would say getting feedback is actually really something you have to open yourself up to. And then it makes the reviews a little less painful, right, Jeff?
We've always wanted to do this, Tony. We've always wanted to get questions by, zipping around the room on the scooter. So I'm gonna look, hopefully not run over anybody's feet. And
I would expect nothing less from you.
okay, we see somebody over here. This will be a challenge.
Okay, look at
She's
that.
testing my driving skills. And
Wow.
Hi.
Hi.
What's your best advice for getting a novel out there? I have a novel that I wrote and published and working on a second one that's also sci-fi.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You inspired me. You're amazing.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
what's the best advice to get a better like online presence and just an audience basically?
How to get an audience when you post? Did you self-publish it or did a publisher publish it? You self-published it. I think there's a couple things you can do. You can try to do events at schools, for your target audience. See if you can come and read, maybe to a school. Schools, to get someone like Jeff or me to come to a school, they usually have to pay an honorarium. So any real author, really, that's a big name published author, they have to pay to have that person come to the school for our time. But if you were to go and offer to come in and maybe read a little bit, it worked for Margaret Weiss Brown. That's how she did came up with a lot of her stories, was she was reading to kids at the Bank Street School in New York City. So maybe that might help.
we have a young fan right here.
Yes. Nice glasses.
In all of your books combined, how many copies have you sold of your books?
How many have you sold, Jeff? Like 200 million, zillion? So 201 million.
All right. We have a young
I
lady right
invested
here.
in eyewear stocks versus Macy's takeaway.
I'm sure this is probably asked a lot, but the moon pie. I mean, are you a moon pie fan? Is that where it came from? The fifth grade boy over there is like snacking on moon pies, getting a box of like Sugar Hut.
Yes. You're referring to my very first picture book was Jimmy Zangwow's Out of This World Moon Pie Adventure. Now, growing up in Florida, there were moon pies everywhere, which you don't really get up here. They're more like scooter pies here. And so I just thought it'd be really cool if I could get, I don't want to eat one. Of course, when I was a kid, they were this big. It was like a Frisbee dunked in chocolate. Now they're a little smaller, but I just loved moon pies when I was a kid, and I wanted 1,000 of them. And diabetes, I guess. It's a lot of sugar. Yes.
What's your favorite friend?
What's my favorite friend? Well, my best friend's she's here. She's standing right there. It's my wife, Angela. That's my best friend. Yeah, that's my best friend. And Jeff. I mean, it's always neck and neck between Jeff and Angela.
Here we go.
We go to Spice Girls concerts together,
What's your favorite Pokemon?
What's my favorite Pokemon? Yes, hold on. It comes in various forms. We've drawn it several times.
Eevee.
Eevee, yes.
Okay, tell
Also,
me.
I do love Jigglypuff because I'm, Jigglypuff. This is fun to say. Yes.
Tony, we have, what we're going to do is there are more questions that we could get to on a school night. So
Okay.
we're going to have one more right here.
All right.
And then if any kids would like to ask you a question at the desk,
As
then
many as you like.
they could do that.
Yep.
We have Tony's books, his whole range of books in the back for anybody that would like to purchase one. Anything you do helps Tony. He's on hard times. He's having difficulties, dental work and all that. But also, it helps support an independent bookstore, which we love our independent bookstores.
Yes.
So here is your last question.
All right.
Do you like waffles?
I love waffles. I'm like practically in the maple capital of the world. I love a waffle. You love a waffle? Yeah, good. I love a waffle. I love a pancake. I love a sausage. I like the savory and the sweet. I like that mix. You good? You're happy with that? I like a fresh berry on a waffle. I like a cup of coffee with my waffle. I like a caramelized banana or praline on a waffle. I don't like whipped cream though. It's just too much. It's a little overboard. But I love fresh berries on a waffle. Is that good? That's a good answer. I'm trying to make that last one really get some miles out of it. Thank you guys so much.